I believe, and again, this is clinical practice, that fasting can be very valuable. It can be very valuable in retraining hunger cues. It can also be very valuable in gut rest.
A few years ago, I think it was maybe 2018 or 17, I started, and even you started at the time, doing some time-restricted feeding. And there was a point where, even myself, I was doing some fasting every day. I'd fast for 20 hours, or time-restricted feeding at 20 hours, eat for 4 hours. Over time, I am not too crazy with it now. I have some days where most days, I still don't eat in the morning. I'll eat most of my food later in the day. Some days, if I don't feel like it, I'll just eat breakfast and go through the day, right? But I know what my hunger used to be like. I was never obese, but I had the appetite of somebody. I could kill you in an eating competition. And I always felt that at that time, I was counting calories and I was never able to have true control over my hunger. The thing that helped me was getting used to not always eating when I felt hungry. And because of that, nowadays, I have control over my hunger. I don't count anything. I eat when I want. I still eat healthy, but I actually have control over it because of the practice of time-restricted feeding over time and getting used to not always eating in response to hunger. Now, I'm curious what your thoughts are on that, because I've seen a lot of Lane and how he's talked about fasting. And a lot of people talk about fasting as some type of magical thing. We still know that it is calories in, calories out is the big thing. You could fast and binge eat, and it might not make a difference if your calories are over where you need to be. But within practice, I see that as being something that could train a person to not always respond to hunger. So how do you feel about the practice of time-restricted feeding? And then potentially, can it fall in line with any of the things that we're seeing as far as longevity is concerned?
I believe, and again, this is clinical practice, that fasting can be very valuable. It can be very valuable in retraining hunger cues. It can also be very valuable in gut rest. Individuals that have frequent GI upset or irritable bowel, you're not continuously feeding them. And that can be very beneficial. I believe that also when you eat, there is some circadian rhythm to our biology, just in general. Does this mean it's going to change body composition? Perhaps no, but it does allow you for calorie control. I do believe that it does allow you to retrain and not respond to hunger. You become very good at tolerating the experience of hunger. Typically, people experience hunger as an emergency. Before you are able to gain control of your physiology, whether it's mental or physical, hunger is an emergency. And if you do not cross that bridge, if you do not get that under control, you're going to have a very difficult time with any kind of, unless you're a sumo wrestler, where you probably, Mark last year. No, I'm just kidding. Unless you are a sumo wrestler, these things, it's your responsibility to regain control of your hunger. And we live in a very obesogenic environment. We live in a very soft environment.
Power Project family, how's it going? Now, on this podcast, we talk all about recovery, which is why 8 Sleep are the beds that we sleep on. Now, 8 Sleep is the Tesla of beds. Not only does it track your heart rate, your HRV, your tosses and turns, it also tracks how long you've been in each sleep cycle, and the mattress does something amazing. It changes its temperature through the night to make sure that in each sleep cycle, you're getting the optimum sleep for you. Now, I know you guys are interested in checking them out, so head to 8sleep.com/powerproject, and you'll automatically be able to save $150 off of your Pod Pro cover or your Pod Pro cover and mattress combo. Check them out. Enjoy the video.
Time-restricted feeding, fasting can be valuable. Is it a magic bullet? Absolutely not, right? Can it be potentially damaging for older individuals who I see are really into fasting these days? From a clinical perspective, absolutely. Those individuals, for example, my father, when he goes through periods of long, and he's 70-something, he didn't kill me because I don't know exactly, 72, 74, he gets really pissed. But when he goes through long periods of fasting, I mean, he loses muscle.
So when you say long periods too, is he going multiple days and eating very minimal food?
Yes, he easily could go 2 days without eating.
Ooh, okay.
But routinely, he won't eat all day. He's onto this new thing where he's not going to eat all day, he's going to eat one meal. That is not ideal for body composition. And it's not ideal for an aging individual. In the fitness space and in kind of the longevity space, it's really divided. Fitness, you know, we think about being jacked and tan, and in your college years, you're in the gym, you're weightlifting, and some of us are still doing that. And really, it's about protein and performance and all that stuff. And then you kind of transition over to, okay, longevity. And then after longevity, you know, there's like the paleo crew, CrossFit. And then what about the conversations for the older individual? Who is targeting? Where are they getting their information? Who is providing information to, say, 50, 60, 70-year-olds? Nobody really, right? I mean, unless there's someone who's really doing it, they are then getting their information in the domain of midlife. And you and I talked about, like, can you span midlife? Yeah, but where this whole fasting thing has taken off, the older population who is really interested in health and wellness, the information out there is not targeted to them. So they are broadly taking the information that is provided, protein restriction, do your fasting, do some more yoga, you know, do your stretching. All of this is valuable, but is it valuable to an older population? What are the unintended consequences of that? So I don't know.
So along with that, I'm curious, like someone like your father who's older, as people get older, their appetite does go down. So when he's trying to do this one meal a day, if he were getting in enough calories, is he getting enough calories is my actual question. Like,
yeah.
And he is?
Yeah.
But even so, it's still obviously not the best thing for him to do that one meal at his age.
I believe that there's controversy on this particular topic. People will say that protein intake over a 24-hour period is what is most important. Is that true? Yes, and yeah, it is. 24-hour period is true. You do need it. Is my father going to go into protein deficiency? No. However, is it optimal for an older individual who perhaps is not lifting the way that he used to, probably because he's lazy, only if he's listening, which he will listen. But is it optimal? It's not.
He could have a leucine sandwich, right?
No, he needs all of it, right? You need all the amino acids. You need the full spectrum of amino acids to really stimulate that tissue. For the aging population, no, one meal a day is not ideal. 2 meals, I'm happy with 2 meals at 50 grams of protein or higher to then really stimulate that tissue twice a day. Again, it is also about maintaining the integrity of muscle over a period of time. And young tissue is not the same as older tissue.
Hey, I know you guys enjoyed the video, so like, comment, subscribe, and head to the Power Project Discord below. Talk to y'all later.